So there's a new raid video. What's next? Episode 4. These are really exciting usually, and this one 13 minutes. I don't know if I can survive 13 minutes of actual information, but I need to do a watch along. I need to show you what I think about how these new things really impact the game. So here we go.
Hey everyone, welcome to our latest edition of What's Next in Raid, where we'll be talking all about what's coming next in Raid. We've got a whole lot to wriggle through today, so let's just slither right into it. First up, the Guardian Ring. Some of you may have already seen our other video dedicated entirely to the Guardian Ring, but if not, don't worry. We're going to coil our explanation up into a small ball of cold, hard facts. The Guardian Ring is primarily here to give everyone a way to use their duplicate champions. It'll be replacing the current sparring pit in your Bastion, but you won't be losing the sparring pit you know and love. It's just shedding its old skin and being upgraded with a bunch of new additions. The first new add-on is Faction Guardians, where you assign a special council of champions for each faction that gives champions of their respective rarity within that faction a global stats boost. You'll be able to assign Guardians for rare, epic, and legendary.
I actually have that many moldies.
Champions, and with this feature, you'll get to have your cake and eat it too, because you still get to keep your faction guard.
So I'm going to go back a little bit.
With this feature, you'll get to have your cake.
So the key, I think here, if you're a Tronda user, is to stop at 2, right? Because basically what that means is that the enemy team, unless you're facing dwarves that are thinking similarly, which you won't be usually, they will have the plus 30 resist, and you will not have the accuracy extra boost because they probably have all their guardians in other factions. And actually plus 30 difference in their resist, which means you got 30 less accuracy, is huge. If you're right on that sharp end, I mean, the resistance accuracy curve, for those who haven't seen it, it's like a sigmoid function, right? Basically, it's highly nonlinear, and there's a sharp increase in your probability of actually landing a debuff. So if you come down by 30, it's insane. It's like basically going like, you could go from like 80 to 60 to 20% or something. So I think that's the way to level dwarves up only up to the second one.
And eat it too, because you still get to keep your faction guardians and use them in battle.
Yeah,
it's going to be a huge...
Yeah, it's good for epics and rares, right?
Booster.
Good for secret rooms in Doomtown for epics and rares that you can't get through. I think that's the key.
And mid-game players who probably won't have any duplicate legendary. A lot of freedom when it comes to tweaking and adjusting your champion builds and playstyle, using their own duplicates or some surrogates if you...
Okay, so this, I think, is a huge waste. I don't see many people doing this, if I'm being honest, because first of all, for the vast majority of champions, you have to use your own kind to empower them. So Lydia uses Visix, right? Okay, but generally speaking, Moldy will use Moldy, Tronda will use Tronda. And if they're a really good champion that you really want to use, chances are you want more than one copy. Right, you want one in Savage, you want one in Immunity, for example, or for example, for crowd control, you want one in Stun, one in Provoke, one in Relentless, one super fast. Because we can't change gear or builds on champions, we have to have duplicate champions in use right now. So this will very rarely be the way you would actually use duplicate champions, right? And you need them for the Guardian Ring, right? Just explained. If you actually empower Moldy here, then you can't use these Moldies for the Guardian Ring. So I think this is a really bad idea. I mean, unless you have 10 Trondas, generally speaking, you won't be using this. And my highest duplicate count is like 8. It's for Moldies or Ghostborns or both. And I won't be using it like that. I mean, maybe I'll do one, but the difference won't be that big, you know? So I don't know. I don't feel very good about this at all. Even for the super mega whales, I think they won't sacrifice unique champions in this kind of way. That's just my take on it.
Get more than one extra whatever you've built them for. We don't want empowered champion unbinding. If you're sure you have no use.
Now, unbinding, I will use. I will use this a lot. I mean, I think I have over 100 dupe legendaries. I will be using unbinding. But the problem is, I will only use it if I see a champion that I really need in the shop, which I won't see because they're all just old fusions that I already have. Unless I want a dupe of a particular fusion champion, like for example, I need a not another dupe Molly, but for example, a dupe Sir Nick, which I won't. A dupe Folly, no, I don't need that. But for example, if you did, that would be a pretty good way. That would be pretty good.
A duplicate legendary champion. You'll be able to permanently release them from your service in exchange for a life token. You'll then be able to take those life tokens and trade them for a new legendary champion at the token trader. That's the big update squirming its way in game very soon, but that's not all. Let's take a quick fire look at a bunch of other updates we're bringing to Raid soon. First, the Shadowkin are getting their own faction.
Okay, if you don't have Lydia, try to get Lydia now, or you're not getting Lydia any sooner than you probably would have got her anyway. So basically, in honesty, if you can do all the factions, you can do the extra faction. If you can't, then what difference does it make? It's just an extra thing. Honestly, people that were complaining about, oh, because like now we won't get 3 factions in a day, like go away. Like that's not the problem of the game, right? The game has a million others more serious issues than you not getting a particular day in the week that has 3 factions rather than 2, right?
Crypt. It means and easy for each mode. We're also
Okay. So you can filter champions better. You can filter gear better. You can do ascending, descending order on. It will save some time. It will save some time. People will go less crazy. Why they couldn't have done this from day one, I don't know. It's like basic database, right? I don't know. It's like they launched Excel, but they didn't have filtering. Or filtering only worked by increasing order, but never decreasing order. But some parts can, like rows can do it, but columns can't. It's just, I don't know.
Possible to create farming setups. Battle. Easier for everyone to speed things up.
Yeah, I mean, having more pre-mates AI is good. Having more customizable AI about rounds and turns, which I think is what they're saying, is good. But you know what would be really good? Instant battles like other games. That I don't have to have my computer on for 10 hours at night to farm some dungeon. And now you're saying, but ever so rarely, we can have it on for 5 hours. No, I'd rather it just be 5 seconds. Not 5 hours or 10 hours. That's not a good thing for sustainable computing or net zero targets, right? Or good for anything. Why would it be good for anything to have your computer on for 10 hours, 365 days a week for years, just so you can get a substat upgrade to your Savage or Speed set? How is that a good thing? Like, how is that good for anybody? Like, of course you want to add some gradient, some friction, some dedication to show that yes, you can do it, not any arbitrary person can. And yes, doing things a bit faster, like 1 minute, 30 seconds is better than 5-minute grinds. Absolutely. But you can set a threshold for that. You can say you can only have instant battles if you can achieve under 1 minute 20 run, for example, or under 1 minute run with no casualties. You can set a threshold in order for people to enable that. But once they've done it, you don't need them to prove it to you 50,000 more times, right? I think that's the key, right?
The game starting. We're also at is new champions. A bit of a tradition here.
This is what Ray's really good at. If they didn't have this, it'll be a tedious game. But this makes it all worthwhile. Look at that. Look at that fur coating. Wow. With that blue flame. Insane.
Our What's Next series, what you're looking at now.
That actually looks like my wife in real life. She literally is in a blue fur coat half the time. She has this fur coat that is actually like whitish blue, and it's cross brand between Supreme and something else. I can't remember. And it's really, really expensive. And she looks like a giant, I don't know, fairy hedgehog or something. So that looks like my wife. I bet she blocks Revive.
First sneak peek into the next line of dungeon delving. Boss beating badass.
Oh my god, that's pretty cool. That's really cool.
Coming to Teleria in the near future. Okay, that's all we've got for you. Oh, wait, one last thing. The Hydra. You might have already seen a few leaks from Raid's sleuth-like detective community about the Hydra already, but if you haven't...
No, I literally couldn't afford that to watch the cringe on the CC's detective work on Hydra. I mean, it was so cringe. And then that battle, that shade throwing between, one of the ex-CCs and one of the current CCs about following rules and not leaking stuff. I mean, it's the internet. I mean, it's just either throw proper shade or don't throw it at all, but don't do the cringe it's like using Madame as a damage champion. It is just so, do it properly. Either be properly toxic or just be a nice person, right? Just don't be somewhere in between.
Here's a full breakdown of what will be Raid's toughest, scariest, and biggest boss fight. The Hydra is our second clan boss, in addition to the Demon Lord you're all well acquainted with. However, it's a bit different than just fighting one boss. You all know the old commonly used adages, 4 heads are better than 1, 4 snakes in the hand are worth 12 in the bush, the more serpents the better. Well, they're all true in Raid world too. This unkillable beast...
Oh my god, tentacles! Tentacles! The Great Void. Now, I do wonder, you can see little towers there and stuff. I wonder if that's future, kind of content as you go to the right. There seems to be like a banner or a tower on the right. That looks super exciting. And that ring with Sauron kind of eye. Cool. The Great Serpent Temple. Interesting.
Bringing 4 heads to every...
Okay, so 4 heads, but 6.
Each with totally unique skills and mechanics to deal with. Actually, it'll be bringing 6 heads, but you'll only have to deal with 4 at any one time. We'll get into that a bit later, but first, let's break down the basics. It's a big fight, and you'll need reinforcements, so you'll be taking 6 champions into each Hydra battle.
That sounds like one of the content creators' teams, right? Just 5 support champions with 1 damage champion, right?
And just like the other clan bosses, the Demon Lord, you'll be battling the Hydra to chase high scores and win huge rewards. You'll be fighting to stay alive as long as possible and deal as much damage as you can along the way. However, unlike the Demon Lord, the Hydra will be running on a different cycle. While the Demon Lord resets every single day, the Hydra will reset once a week. On top of that, you'll only get 3 Hydra keys per week.
But it just said 2 weeks and 4 days, so it seems like 3 weeks. I don't understand. Or is every 3 weeks changing into different forms? I don't know.
Your clan will have more flexibility to figure out when you want to take the Hydra on. So the Hydra will reset every week, and things will stay pretty much the same week to week. You'll fight the same Hydra with a mixture of those same heads. Each head will be tied to a certain affinity, so you'll be able to figure out a good strategy over time.
Oh my god, that run distance from your team to the Hydra head. Oh, just bring range champions. I swear to God, that run distance is insane. They've got to run all the way back.
With the current challenge. Predictable, easy, right? But here's the twist. Every 4 weeks, a new rotation will start. This means...
so it's every 4 weeks rotation. Every week is your chance to hit it. That's good. If it was every day, I think it's just too much work. Every week's fine. More than fine.
Like the Doom Tower, shuffling the pack. Each head will be paired with a new affinity, and the 4 starting heads you have to deal with will change. And in the future, when we add more heads, it'll mean entirely new combinations of 6 heads and a whole new challenge. To make things even tougher, once you've used a champion in a Hydra battle, you won't be able to use them again until after the next weekly reset. So looking to lock in a single gimmicky team is off the table here.
Okay, so this is like Puppet Wars in Magnum Quest, right? Like, you can't use the same champions twice. So you literally have to think about team combos, The clan has to come up with good team combos, etc., etc.
You need 3 unique teams that can stand up to the challenge to get the most out of the Hydra. Then, every month, re-examine your strategy again because the script may very well have been flipped. Because each head is so unique, you won't be able to use the same tricks every time. We're not going to cover each head's skills right now, but here's a quick snapshot of the 6 heads you'll be fighting against in the first rotation of the Hydra. The head of Torment, the head of Decay, the head of Wrath, the head of Blight, the head of Suffering, and my personal favorite, the head of Mischief. If those names alone don't sound scary enough, wait until you see them in battle. Things get real crazy. You'll be fighting 4 of these heads at the same time, and you'll be fighting hard to stay alive and deal out as much pain as possible. You want to cut off the Hydra's heads to maximize your damage. And cutting off a head doesn't mean you only have to fight against 3 heads. Remember how we said the Hydra brings 6 heads? Well, if you do manage to decapitate a head, another will grow back. You cut off the head of Blight, and it might come back with a vengeance, or it might be replaced by the head of Decay or head of Torment, whichever the 5th and 6th heads are in the current rotation. So, endless pain for your team. But don't worry, you have 6 champions, and it only has 4 heads. You have the numbers advantage. It's going to be like shooting snakes in a barrel. Not exactly. This beast has another trick up its sleeve. It's also going to be trying to eat you. Every so often, one of your champions will get eaten by one of the heads. Now, just like in real life, these Hydras have long necks and stomachs in their necks. So you have a few turns to chop off that Hydra's head before...
Oh wow, so the neck actually bloats, so you can see how far your champion's down the throat. And this is like the worm boss in Magnum Quest, right? The one that consumes one of your champions.
Fully digests and consumes your champion. If you slice the head off, you free your champion and they're back in battle. If you don't, they're dead and gone. And we really mean gone. You won't be able to revive them and you'll have 1 champion missing for the rest of...
Okay, so what you really need is some burst damage, right? Like poison, explosion or something. So that makes sense to bring Thalia. Oh, not Thalia, Elinario. Yeah, okay.
Right. Sounds like a tough battle, and it is, but the rewards are more than worth it. To recap, you fight the Hydra just like you fight the clan boss. Higher scores, better rewards. Rewards will be earned in the form of Hydra chests, given out at the weekly reset. And better yet, if your clan manages to fully deplete the Hydra's HP, you get double the rewards. Let's talk about what those rewards are. Aside from the obvious things like Clan Gold, Clan XP, there are some serious rewards on offer. First, you'll be able to win fragments for an exclusive champion, Mithrala Lifebane. We're already taking huge inspiration from Greek mythos here, and Mithrala fits into that perfectly. We'll be releasing a dedicated champion spotlight for Mithrala soon, but as you'd expect from someone that...
I mean, if you think about Doomtown and how disappointing almost all of the legendaries are, I don't know how I feel about this. I hope it's on equal or greater capability than Lydia and Ramathu or whatever his name is. But if it's anything like the Doomtown legendaries, it's just good graphics and a huge disappointment, right?
Like Medusa's long-lost sister, she's going to be able to poison people. Oh, and turn people to stone. That's the thing now, too. It's a really scary debuff that can take people out of the fight entirely, with a downside or two. We'll cover it in greater detail soon, but let's just say in the right hands.
Things that... Don't worry about the poison or taking things out of the fight or whatever that means, but things with the downside, it's actually usually OP. So if you think about Tronda, like... she only double hits if it doesn't stun. Conditional things on things not happening or a downside is usually overpowering because you can usually mitigate the downside. Like, for example, it damages you, but you don't care if it kills the enemy, right? Or like it poisons you, but who gives a shit, right? Like usually these downsides have a supreme bonus in certain situations that are super useful. So I like it. That actually sounds good.
The strategy, it's going to be a game changer. That reward's simple. New champions are never a bad thing. But what about unique rewards or new mechanics? Oh, I'm glad you asked. You'll also be able to win a whole new type of artifact from Hydra chests. We're not talking just a new buff or boosted stats, but an entirely new breed of artifacts that give you set bonuses depending on how many you have equipped. These special variable artifacts will give you an extra bonus with only one of their kind
Oh, cool. So 1 to 6.
equipped. Then another bonus if you equip 2, 3, 4, or even a full 6 of them. These are unlike any other artifact sets in Raid and will open up
Resist. Boo. HP. Yeah. 12% speed, but for 3. 4. 15% chance to place a protected buff. 15% chance though. So PvE. 5 is extra speed. Another 15% chance. I mean, I don't know what the protected buff is, but I think overall the 6 pieces are good because there's a lot of stats, but it feels really PvE.
huge possibilities in terms of artifact combos and builds. Right off the bat, we'll have 2 of these special variable artifact sets. Set 1, Stone Skin. Equipping a single artifact from this set will give your champion a modest but useful 8% HP boost. Equip 2, and you also get an extra 40 resistance on top. But equip 4, and you'll get access to an entirely new defensive buff called Stone Skin, which you'll get for 1 turn at the start of the round. Stone Skin will mean your champion takes almost no damage from enemy attacks, and makes your...
Ooh, so beginning of the round. So the Goth Viking Opera Lady, because you can have them super slow. So whilst your other champions go, they're still being protected and they're soaking up all the damage, but they don't take much damage themselves, which means they can soak up an insane amount of damage, because one of the issues that was that they would get debuffs like defense down or bombs, and they would die, and therefore no one's soaking damage. Now they can't die. They literally can't die. If they can't be debuffed and they take no damage, you can build them to like 120k HP and just base speed. Wow. That's an arena game changer there.
Being immune to all debuffs except for bombs. In fact, bombs will actually do more...
Oh, except for bombs. I can't read. Bombs will do more damage. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Then bomb metas there. You do like Arbiter Warlord, Kaimar Bomb, right? Yeah, that works.
as they can shatter your champion. But it's still a great trade-off for all the benefits of Stone Skin. That's if you equip 4, but equip 6 and you get 2 turns of Stone Skin, plus a boatload more stat boosts.
2 turns? It doesn't matter. For 1 turn, they'll counter you as bombs. There is no 2 turn. It doesn't really matter.
Next set's called a protection set, and it works the same way. Equip 1, 2, or 3 artifacts and get extra stats. But at 4, the set has a chance to protect any buff the wearer casts or receives. Protected buffs can't be removed or stolen, so this set is sure to be invaluable to any champion whose buffs are the bedrock of your team. Just like the...
Good for things like Necrit, or things that put really valuable buffs. Fast speed, that wants to avoid a Kaimar kind of removal. That kind of stuff is useful.
Stone Skin set, this becomes even more powerful at 6 pieces. The protection chance increases, plus you have the benefits of all the other stat boosts along the way. If the special mechanics alone weren't enough for you to want those sets, how about raw power and strength alone? Stone Skin and protection artifacts will be available in an entirely new rarity, Mythical. Mythical artifacts are a step up from legendary artifacts in strength, and you won't be able to find these anywhere else. Mythical artifacts start with all 4 substats unlocked, but one of the substats will be increased to the equivalent of a level 4 legendary.
Mythical artifacts. I feel like this is gonna give Raid a rebirth for a lot of endgame players.
Artifact, meaning you'll be able to eke out a little bit more power from mythical artifacts than legendary ones. It's a small edge, but at the highest level, those small margins make a big difference.
It's not small. It's actually really big. It's not small at all.
As you can probably tell, these artifacts will be incredibly versatile and useful pretty much anywhere, no matter whether you're focusing on PvP or PvE.
Focusing on PvE. What a meme.
Hydra is a huge update, and we'll be gradually adding more content to it over time with awesome new rewards and terrifying new heads. And we're super excited to see what you guys think of it. And that's it. Whew, that's a lot. We hope you enjoyed our latest preview video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We've got a lot of exciting content in the works, and you definitely don't want to miss out. Until
good video. Lots of exciting things. I don't know when this will come out, but even if it's in the next 6 months, it's a lot. It is game changing. New debuffs, new armor. It will take time for people to get enough armor, but I suspect they will all drop at the highest quality. So not as much time as people think. And it will change a lot. It will change endgame. Because endgame is more sensitive to these big things. Mid game, it will help them more. It will definitely help mid game more. But mid game, you're mostly against PVE, right? So, we know all the PVE content can be done free to play pretty quickly if you're lucky enough and good enough. So, in that respect, it really shouldn't matter that much. It's just easier now. But for endgame, it does make a big difference. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Yeah. Well done, Raid. Actually looks like something.